coincidence that this same week as that lawsuit filed involving a pregnant jail inmate, a new bill filed in Tallahassee addresses some of those same issues, separate and unrelated, but also raising questions of how Florida should handle the intersection of crime and punishment, childbirth, and the rights of an unborn child. South Florida State Senator Shevrin Jones has sponsored what would be called Ava's Law, and he has actually in past years as well. Prenatal attention and treatment is the focus, as is the intersection of crime and parenthood. Good morning, Senator Jones.
Good morning, Glenda. Thank you for having me.
So thanks for being spontaneous with us this week, because you have been and always will be. But this is such an interesting conversation in light of this other lawsuit that was filed in the appeals court. But Ava's Law is really about being pregnant in jail and getting health care and getting treatment. Is that valid?
That's very valid. And actually, this is the second year that we are attempting to try this, because the bill is really about providing mothers with the treatment and care that's necessary to deliver their child safely before they even continue their sentence. And just like you made mention of the bill being Ava's Law, and for those who don't know, this is in honor of the unborn child of Erica Thompson, who died after Ms. Thompson was refused treatment and care by jail officials, despite Ms. Thompson's cries for help while she was incarcerated.
And that, just to be clear, that wasn't in a South Florida jail. That was upstate.
No, that was upstate, yeah. Correct.
Okay. So I don't, I'm guessing you're going to be getting bipartisan support when it comes to the health and safety of a woman and her unborn child. But a component of this bill allows a judge to stay the sentence of a convicted criminal who will otherwise leave incarceration if she's pregnant, about to give birth, or maybe having recently give birth. So that component, that might be great and healthy and fine for a woman and her child. And there might be cases where a woman is a dangerous criminal. So take us through, for those who are thinking about how this affects public safety, take us through that component.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that giving the judge the discretion to be able to decide whether or not the mother should remain incarcerated, or whether whether or not the mother is at risk of society going on. It's still at the discretion of the judge. I mean, at the end of the day, this will give women the right to a pregnancy test within 72 hours, as well as a deferral of up to 12 weeks after delivery of their baby once they are sentenced. And so all we're trying to do is ensure that once the mother has the child, that they receive the necessary medical care that has been recommended by physicians that she needs. Because at the end of the day, it's really about making sure that the baby is protected, and there is time where the mother needs to be with that child. But if they are in danger, then the judge still have that discretion to be able to make. And that actually was part of the reason why we ran into some trouble last year with this bill, because we're trying to figure out what does that look like. And I'm sure as we go through the process, there will be some amendments and things as we work, because it is a bipartisan bill, because we want to make sure that public safety still remains the most highest point when we're passing legislation.
And so at this point within the bill, it looks like a judge will take into consideration the past background, any criminal background prior to, and that kind of thing. So
that's correct.
Yeah. So is there then, on the flip side, is there any concern that having a law like this might in some way jeopardize the parental rights of a woman who is, I'm going to go with convicted of a crime? Is there any concern that the parental rights of an inmate, someone incarcerated or whose sentence is being postponed? Because now the state is involved. Now there are guardianship issues. Now there is focus. I mean, what's the concern there?
Well, we haven't heard that concern, and I just right now, you just made mention of it. But we haven't heard that.
Glad to give you something to think about as you take this forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate, and we will. It's at the beginning stages of the process, and so we're going to work the bill to work it through the process over the next few weeks.
So, and I want to, in the short time we have this morning, I want to get your take, because right now, the rights of an unborn child in Florida is solely focused in the debate over abortion rights. We were last year when the bill that is now law, abortion restrictions, were being debated. The really one of the big topics was the viability. At what point is an unborn child viable outside the mother's womb? Is there any consideration of yours as you go into a very divided legislature this year that something from this bill will either way affect what might be coming, because it's been telegraphed, what might be coming in further abortion rights restrictions or not? Do you think that the questions you're posing kind of have a larger context when it comes to Florida law?
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it's such a slippery slope, especially if dealing with what we're dealing with in Florida. When we do come speak about abortion and the direction that the state of Florida is moving, with a woman's right to choose, and I don't want us to muddy this issue with Ava's law with what the legislature is trying to push, because at the end of the day, then we must make sure that all mothers and their children are cared for in this state, and we cannot allow another preventable tragedy like this to happen again, or happen here in Florida. But outside and apart from what we know this legislative session is going to be about, I'm hoping that they don't convolute the two, because this is about, one, public safety, two, about the safety of the child and the mother who are incarcerated. No matter what they've done, the child deserves to be safe, and the mother deserves to be safe too.
I can't imagine a more bipartisan thought than that. State Senator Shevrin Jones, great to have you aboard as always.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful Sunday.
You too.
Thanks.